What's up YouTube, Shadow here and welcome back to another weapon showcase video, this time for the Lost Sinner's sword. Now this is an ultra great sword and it hits fucking hard, but I'll get into that later. As you can see, it's a lightning Lost Sinner sword plus 5, I have an upgrade all the way, 24 in strength and 18 dexterity in order to wield. It has C scaling in strength, D scaling in dexterity, and a B scaling in lightning. 322 base damage for physical and lightning, as you can see. It has 50 poise damage, so it has really good poise damage. It weighs 12 pounds, so it's kind of heavy. Um, so now let's get into my stats. I'm a level 166, 35 vigor, 35 endurance, 10 vitality, 12 attunement, 30 strength, 26 dexterity, 8 adaptability, 15 intelligence, and 48 faith. And the weapon, its attack rating is 509. So it hits like a fucking truck. It's pretty powerful. So, but I'll talk more about that when we get into PvP fights. You also see, real quick, if you've seen it, I had negatives on the weapon. I'll explain that later. There's the rings I have. So we're going to get into PvP fights, and I'll see you there. Okay guys, so here's the PvP fight. So the first thing I want to talk about is, and these fights are kind of silly, and it's because this weapon was so hard to use because of how slow it is, and a lot of the fights I've had with this weapon is like silly fights and like weird wins and weird deaths. I don't know why it's like that, but it is. So I'm sorry about that. And there's a lot of cheese going on, but with this weapon, the really important thing I want to talk to you guys about, I forgot to show its description, because in the description it has a weapon effect. This weapon effect is, when you successfully land a hit on your opponent with this weapon, you're going to receive a little bit of damage. It damages you. It takes a little bit of your health down. Now, it's not a lot. This is just a tiny bit, but still, that's something you need to know when you use this weapon. Second important thing I forgot to talk about. When I said you could see my attack rating in my scaling part get deducted, you can see I had like negative 70 attack rating for physical when I showed the weapon's stats. That's because when you have sin, the higher your sin is in this game, the more damage reduction is applied to the weapon. Meaning, if you have a super high sin, you're going to lose a lot of attack potential. Now, how it works, how it's scaled, and how it works is just hard to explain, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't really know. But if you want to see that information and get a better idea of how it works, look up the Dark Souls 2 wiki and look up Lost Sinner Sword. Also, some I forgot to mention, when you look up the wiki, it'll also say that even though it shows the attack reduction, it doesn't actually apply onto people. Like, I don't. Basically, what that means is it's showing you that you have damage reduction with the weapon, but when you fight someone and you hit them with it, it'll still do all of its attack power. So it's very confusing. Again, I'm sorry. This is a confusing weapon. One last thing, real quick, is also thought, and this is not confirmed, I don't believe, from what I read, but it's also thought that this weapon does more damage to sinners. So if you find someone who's a sinner, it's going to hit them way harder. So, I don't know. But we're about to get in the next fight, so now let's actually talk about the weapon. Okay guys, so first thing I want to talk about, the first topic, is the attack rating. The attack rating is absolutely insane with this weapon. If you can land your hit on your opponent, it hits them like a fucking truck. And usually, most of the time I was fighting people, and I fought probably easily over 100 different people using this weapon, just trying to learn it. Every time I did land a hit, it usually took more than half their health down, which is insane. Now, this weapon is also said on the wiki to have one of the highest attack rating potentials out of any weapon in the game. One of them. There are other weapons that have this super high attack rating potential, but this weapon, I know the attack rating, so let me tell you guys. if you have the upgrade all the way and you have Dark Infusion and you have your stats right and you don't have Sin and you don't have that deduction, the attack rating of this sword is 725. That's pretty fucking ridiculous. So now that the attack rating is out of the way, I gave you most of the information. Probably, actually, I think I gave you all the information about the attack rating. Next thing to talk about, next topic is the moveset. The moveset only has one thrust attack in this whole moveset, and that's the two-handed rolling R1 attack, which is I found very useful. But other than that, the moveset, if you use the Pursuer's Ultra Great Sword, it's the exact same moveset. So basically, like just a regular Ultra Great Sword moveset. I believe that's the main moveset for Ultra Great Swords. But I haven't tested it. I'm gonna play with other Ultra Great Swords and make sure that it is. But the moveset, a lot of its attacks seem very hard to land. With that said, it's also very predictable, and that's going to make backstabs and parries happen more frequently to you, especially if you're fighting veteran players, which most people are. You're going to get parried or backstabbed one or the other many times if you fight people with this weapon. It's just, oh, it's going to happen. I mean, I was changing up my attacks. I was using all kinds of different attacks, all different attacks I could. The jumping attack, the two-handed R1 rolling attack, which was the thrust move. I was doing the two-handed R2s. I was mixing it up as much as I could and trying to play mind game with my opponents. But still, about 40% of the time, I've ended up getting parried or backstabbed. So, you have to be really cautious with this weapon, and I feel like this is much, really give and take weapon. You do have the super damage output with it. You do have the really big poise damage to stagger your opponents, but on the other hand, you're going to be very susceptible to parries and backstabs, and that puts you at a weakness with this weapon. It's one of the cons of the weapon, but this is a weapon that I feel like you're going to have to pick up and do a lot of PvE with it first and know exactly everything about it, or you're gonna have a very hard time in PvP. It's really rough. You can aim its attacks using the left thumbstick, and I have fought with weapons that have done that, but this weapon, it seems like when I tried to angle it all the way to my left side, it would only go halfway and then land like at an angle and totally miss my opponent, and again put me into a backstab position, and I usually got backstabbed. So this weapon, to use it, is going to require a lot of mind games, a lot of skill, a lot of strategy, and you're just going to have to really know how to use this weapon. But overall, I see this a lot more of a PvE weapon. It can be used in PvP, but it's going to take a lot of learning. It's going to take a lot of strategy, a lot of mind games again, and you can see I've been trying to like play mind games with almost everybody I fought just so I can land those hits because they are pretty slow. But other than that, it's a great weapon for damage. One of the strongest weapons in the game if you upgrade it all the way and have the right stats and put the right infusion on it. So yeah, definitely if you want to test this weapon out, this is the last fight by the way. If you want to test this weapon out, use it in PvE first, and with what build you're using, it needs to be basically a strength and skill build. If you want to infuse it, you can, and try to put, like if it's magic, try to put a lot of points into intelligence to upgrade that attack, and this thing will dish out the damage. But again, it's going to take a lot of training, a lot of skill, a lot of strategy. It's just going to take time to learn it. But other than that, there's really nothing more I can talk about with this weapon. I will be training with this weapon more, and the next showcase is going to be the Pursuer's Ultra Great Sword, which should be out by tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for watching this weapon showcase. If you liked it, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Dark Souls or Bloodborne video.